Hello and good morning, everybody. It's Maximus, and today we're going to look at an alert that I actually received from Investor Place. And if you don't happen to know who Investor Place is, they have an amazing service that they provide crypto investors. I actually have an annual membership with them. I, of course, am not paid by them in any way, shape, or form, but nonetheless, every once in a while, I'll see something that they have posted on their site, and then sometimes I'll share that with you guys. For instance, the last time I actually did a video in regards to some of the content that was provided to me from Investor Place was on my MATs video, and if you haven't seen that yet, highly recommend it. It talks about tokenization and so on. The term is MATs. So before I start with this, just a little background on Luke Lango. Luke Lango, he used to do some work with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Basically, like, he's done things like data analytics and things like that. He actually also did some work with the Philadelphia 76ers. He went to Caltech. He was one of the top stock pickers for a while, I think even now, continuously. Very brilliant person. And then on top of that, Charlie Shrem, if you don't know who he is, you really need to look into his background. He actually has been involved with Bitcoin all the way back when it was about $5, if you can imagine that. And he's also part of the Bitcoin Founders Club, which is pretty amazing. So these guys really know their stuff when it comes to crypto. And when I get alerts from them, I choose to look into it. So anyway, as you can see here, for instance, it says buying 3 altcoins for the potential Bitcoin breakout. And before I start in regards to taking a look at this, I just want to point out that on a lot of this, I'm going to read verbatim, not everything, but a lot of it I definitely will. And for instance, it starts off, it states, last week we told you that Bitcoin was on the cusp of a big move, and it mentions that basically a week later it became pretty clear that Bitcoin wants to break out, not break down, and that basically if Bitcoin did break out, it could be very powerful because the breakout to go past 50,000 will affect many altcoins, in which they're going to soar 50% or more in a very short time. So if you follow any big influencers, like for instance, I myself, I'm just like a lot of you guys, I follow some of the big influencers like Austin Hilton, Your Pop, Zach Humphreys, and so on. If you follow Austin Hilton, he always mentions how Bitcoin and Ethereum are very big players in the overall scheme of things when it comes to crypto in general. So for instance, right, here's an article from a while back. This is just kind of like furthermore back up my statement of that, back up their statements. So this article is from January of 2021, and I realize it's old, but nonetheless, take a look at this right here. For instance, it mentions that Bitcoin represents 68.1% of the overall crypto market cap, and then on top of that, you have Ethereum, which represents 12.9%. So basically, those two, right, represent about 81% of the entire crypto market cap. So when we look at things like this and see that the global crypto market cap is at 2 trillion currently, we first need to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you always want to root for those two. Whether you are personally invested into each one or not, the fact of the matter is we always want to root for those two because they play such a big factor into the general scheme of things of what's going on in crypto in general. So for instance, it's nice to see that Bitcoin is way past 40,000 now, and has been, not just for a few days, but I would say like a good solid week, if not more. On top of that, you got Ethereum, that's past 3,000. We want to see that go past 4, maybe you get up to 5. Again, Bitcoin past 50,000, so on. So just like it shows right here, by Bitcoin doing this, going past the 50,000 mark, you're going to see a lot of the altcoins going up 50% or more. So with that said, we scroll down further, and one of their first picks on here is an altcoin by the name of Near Protocol, which ticker symbol is Near. And it says the first altcoin they're adding to their portfolio, like I mentioned, is Near. And basically, Near is a layer 1 blockchain like Ethereum. It was founded on a few basic principles: usability for both end users and developers, scalability, and decentralization. Those aims might not seem unique on their own, but it states there's more to Near Protocol's story. It states that perhaps the most relevant part of this story is that unlike most blockchains, Near Protocol had sharding in its plans from the very beginning. Now, you may be wondering, like, well, what do you mean by sharding? All right, so for instance, sharding is the process of splitting a database horizontally to spread the load. It's a common concept in computer science. For instance, in Ethereum context, sharding will reduce network congestion and increase transactions per second by creating new chains known as shards. So basically just making everything more efficient, if you will. If you're into any type of like computers, for instance, the difference between having a SSD hard drive compared to like a 7200 RPM SATA drive. A lot of you guys may not be into computers like that and so on, but that's just an example. So for instance, it goes on to also mentioning that the blockchain's co-founders got their start working on an AI project together before stumbling their way into a realm of crypto. Gives a little bit of backgrounds and so on. And basically, in a nutshell, from what this mentions, is that they decided that, the standard norm, if you will, of crypto at the time before 2017 was just really severely lacking. And so they went ahead and they did their own investigative work and research and so on. And they basically decided to create some of their own blockchain technology back in sometime in 2017, and they came up with the idea, of course, of Near Protocol. And basically, scroll down further, without reading the whole thing to you, it mentions that, the whole sharding thing was tremendous because it states that their network currently has 4 shards, one in which is Ethereum compatible called Aurora. But basically, it's expected to reach full sharding potential thanks to dynamic sharding. So where this stands out compared to other layer 1 blockchains is this use case, basically, because nobody else is really doing this whole sharding type thing. And if they are, it won't be until layer 2s. So this is basically like the only layer 1 that's currently doing it, to my understanding at least. And then on top of that, there's other things that got going on. For instance, it states that their foundation's goal is to steer development of the network in the right direction. It says, at first, before gradually handing the project over to the community, it launched a funding initiative that was originally worth $800 million. Wow. And it states that, but it's now worth upward of $1.2 billion. And it's backed by A16Z and Coinbase Ventures. And then it also, of course, goes on to mention, true to his claims, the Near blockchain is fast, easy to use, and has super low fees. And that's just really key if you think about, these type of layer 1 solutions, right? Because, if you look at Ethereum, 90% of all crypto projects, or do what? They're like ERC20 tokens, and they use Ethereum. But the only problem with Ethereum is, it's like the high gas fees, right? And it's just not, it's fast and efficient and so on. So, there's a lot of other competitors, for instance, Polygon and so on and so forth. So this just further solidifies Near's presence in regards to all this. And then also, if you look at this right here, it says Near's protocol developer friendliness means devs with a range of backgrounds can easily get started creating decentralized apps on here. So, you know, if you're familiar with any D apps, I mean, like we're talking like, you know, even on Crypto.com, you know, you got the, their D app, right? And, you know, you click on it to get, you know, do the earn function. And, you know, you can do some of the farming, some of the mining. If you've got into, like myself, VVS Finance, right? There's really attractive high yields that you can make on farming or pairing, right? Like, you know, they have some things in which is like CRO paired with Shiba Inu, and you can earn like 23% on that D app. You know, there's some other ones, for instance. But the point is, by them creating you know, a decentralized app, right, on the Near protocol that makes it, you know, very user friendly, that of course definitely helps with their ecosystem. And of course, when you see things like that, you see nice price action. All right, so, you know, if you want to read more about the burns and transaction fees, you definitely can in regards to that. I'm not going to put the full emphasis on Near, but it does seem like a really, really great project. And to look at it more further, they're listing on CoinMarketCaps right here. And by the way, all three of these coins I'm mentioning, they're top 50 coins on CMC. So I just really want to state that, you know, I know a lot of times, you know, I focus on the coins that are in tokens, I'm sorry, coin and token projects that are a lot, you know, less expensive, a lot more affordable, more of your, you know, a high return on your investment, if you will. But every now and then I like to look at some of these projects too, because yeah, they're a little bit more expensive, but you know what, there's a lot of, you know, really nice upside potential. And of course, at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We want to get involved in projects that have great upside potential. Again, not investment advice, but I do try to put you guys on the personal plays that I'm in, and these are some of the things that I'm looking into, obviously. All right, so moving along, moving further. Sometimes I get ahead of myself, apologize. You know, their community, very, very strong. Look at this, you know, a little over 350,000 followers, right? So they've been around since 2018 as far as their Twitter goes. As far as the actual project, you know, at least listed on CMC around, you know, late 2020. You did see all-time highs of $20.42. Of course, you know, the lows, I mean, man, if you got involved into this back in October of 2020, around the 60-cent mark, right? I mean, you have, wow, you basically retired. Yeah, completely. Because, I mean, all-time highs happened not that long ago. So, back in mid-January. So, but still, as they advised here, Binary up to 13. So in reality, let's go back to that again. So in reality, maybe on the next dip, you know, if you're choosing to do so, because they, you know, their projection is that it can make a run for 20 again. And I you know, I see that happening personally. Again, not investment advice, just how I personally feel about it. And obviously, that's how they feel about it. And when these guys make statements like this, oh man, I mean, they're usually pretty right. I will show you at the end of the video their portfolio that they have, their public portfolio, what they're invested in, and so on. And they've made some great decisions. So just to further back up more on Investor Place's picks, if you will. So where can you get this? Stacy, you can get it on Binance.us, and you can get it on CoinX. Before I actually made the video today that I'm bringing to you guys, I went ahead on Crypto.com's app, and I did see it available to purchase there as well. Me personally, I'd rather just go with Crypto.com if it's me, but you know, we all have our preferences. I get it. So the second altcoin to buy from, you know, Luke Lango's and Charlie Schram's picks is Tezos, which is ticker symbol XTZ. And it states that Tezos is a blockchain project that has managed to gain a sort of a cult following among crypto-savvy art crowd. It says Ethereum gained popularity due to NFTs, and that brought in swaths of developers looking to stake their claim on the blockchain. Now, Tezos is in the same boat. It has the art and the artist, but it needs to attract a larger audience. The blockchain's most famous NFT art marketplace, Heck and Nuke, accounts for much of the network's volume at present. Other marketplaces on Tezos like OBJKT and Calamint are growing in popularity too. Each offers its own unique take on what a marketplace should look like and offer. Despite not having as many trendy profile picture collections, Tezos does have a few very successful ones. And of course, this is going to catch all our eyes, right? So if you've been into NFTs at all, CryptoPunk should be like, a name that you immediately recognize. So it says Tezos are arguably the CryptoPunks of Tezos. And that's a really great statement because that actually is true. If you've been following any of this, not necessarily this video, but just anything in regards to NFTs, that's two big names. And it says Tezos is a collection of 4,200 Tezos lizards with randomly assigned visual traits of varying rarities. And of course, it mentions how late August, one of them went up to roughly 330,000, etc., etc. But another thing that caught my eye, for instance, it says, an example is a music NFT platform called One Of, recently launched on Tezos, included the backing of big, huge names in music like Quincy Jones, Doja Cat, John Legend, and more. There was even a Whitney Houston NFTs that were launched on the platform recently, and they sold out. That makes sense. And then on top of that, One Of has a multi-year exclusive Grammy partnership. And it says that's huge for Tezos. Well, yeah, that's really huge because that's basically getting like mainstream artists on your NFT platform. So if that doesn't catch your eye, I don't know what would. On top of that, if you look into this, like I myself am into gaming, some of the partnerships that caught my eye obviously is Ubisoft, right? If you're a fan of exotic automobiles, McLaren, like the F1 McLaren that used to be like the fastest car in the world back in the late 90s, like 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. That was a big deal back then. Now it's like that's not even that big of a deal anymore, but you get where I'm coming from. Some of the things that they highlight, they're on popular exchanges like Coinbase and Binance. I did find Tezos also on the crypto.com app. Another thing I thought would point out is Tezos has been around a long time, and it has previously survived a bull run, or I should say bull and bear markets, which is super cool. So for instance, we look at Tezos on CMC, and when we zoom out, you will notice that they have been around a really long time, since like 2018. So if you were around to get involved with them like at 43 cents back in like January 2019, and then for instance you saw it go up to like way past $8 last October, and then yeah, look at that. So like maybe for a few minutes or a few hours or something like that, it was at 918. So, and again, this one's ranked 46 overall. Here's their website if you want to take a look at it. You can check out their white paper, all that stuff, their ecosystem, you name it, just take a look at it. Tezos.com. They have a very large Twitter following, right? Community and so on. Close to 400,000 followers. These are not, flash in the pan crypto projects. These are well-established crypto projects. So, just thought I'd point that out. And then it states here, Tezos adoption is quickly picking up the pace and at a crucial time. And I'm going to actually focus on this right here. I'm actually going to read this verbatim. So it says, Ethereum is currently unusable by most people due to its extremely high fees. Well, it's not unusable, it's just more like annoying, if you will, because I mean, at the end of the day, you want to see your ROI go as far as you possibly can. And, you know, you get hit with huge fees, definitely, you know, means that you're not getting the maximum of return back on your investment, because you know part of that is going to these big fees. So it says, so now is the time for Tezos to pull out all the stops, and it's doing just that. In fact, Tezos hit an all-time high for developer activity, and that's super bullish for the blockchain. So DeFi and other kinds of dApps are popping up more and more often and gaining more users than before. It does mention that it has a share of risk and so on. Like it says that it includes the fact that there's a lot of competition on layer 1, and there is. I mean, let's face it, you know, Polygon, Tezos, you know, technically speaking, Terra, Solana, right? I mean, I would definitely say Solana and Ethereum are like, you know, it's kind of like watching a couple race car drivers go at it, right? They even have that like thing on on CMC, where it shows like those helmets of the two. But you get my point. There's a lot of layer 1 competition, and that's just the reality of it. And you may have an attitude if you're going to choose to get involved with Tezos after doing your own research, because by all means do your own research, read that white paper, look at more of the use cases, look more into their ecosystem. But what's going to state is, for some of us, you know, we might not want to put so much emphasis in getting involved in layer 1s, because at the end of the day, at the end of the year, the rumor is what? Ethereum layer 2 is supposed to be dropping, and that's going to be a game changer, because for one, you're going to see Ethereum go up to all-time highs, in my opinion, right? But I'm not the only person who feels that way. And as a result, if you have all these projects stuck in layer 1, well, what's that going to do to those projects? It could do one of two things, and that is create a lot more use case for the current layer 1 solutions that are going on for whatever projects they're involved in, or it could put a lot of pressure on those current layer 1 projects, whether it's Tezos, Terra, etc., to upgrade basically to compete with Ethereum layer 2. So there's just a lot of factors. Does that mean that everybody's going to hop on the adoption of a layer 2 solution immediately? Yes and no. So I mean, it's just kind of like one of those things we have to wait and see. All the different use cases and all the different projects and all the things that are involved in regards to this. But nonetheless, take a look at Tezos, see if it's something you want to get involved. In. And when you look at it right here, I mean, yeah, it's up 7%, 7 to 8% roughly. Maybe get involved in it when there's a dip and so on. If you want to check out their audit, by all means, check out their audits right here by Quant Stamp. I took a look into it. Everything that was listed was like low to high risk. There was only one thing that was listed that was high risk on some of the things that was posted, and the overall score was like medium. Okay, so just something to point out in regards to that. Use your own discretion on any of these projects you get involved in. And then on top of that, Investor Place, Luke Lango and Charlie Shrimp basically state on Tezos buy up to $4. And what we saw right here, we saw that it's currently below that, even though there's slightly up about 7%. It's at 378, and they could see it easily popping up to 8. So I mean, you could basically like 2x on that one. All right, so number 3. Oh, before we get to number 3, I was going to say, on Tezos, I did see it on the Crypto.com app as well. All right, moving along. So the third altcoin to buy on their alert was Theta, which is Theta Network. And, here's a little graph on that. Like, I put a lot of emphasis on it, but I will point this out. Theta Network is an all-in-one blockchain video platform that can be a number of things for different people. So like I mentioned before, you know, I myself am a gamer. Believe it or not, before I even made this channel, you know, I had I still have a gaming channel for YouTube. If you're into that, you know, it's mainly for like Battlefield and Call of Duty. Channel name is DPG Maximus. I have a little over, I don't know, close to 7,200 subscribers. It's got a lot of views. I have a few videos, and you know, it's gotten like over 100,000 views. But I don't put out videos for that every day. And I have never done like any streaming for it, because streaming is not my thing. But my point I'm trying to make is I have totally recognized the upside potential of, you know, streaming platforms like what? YouTube Live, right? You know, streaming live on YouTube. But the big player obviously is what? Twitch. So for instance, Theta Network wants to put themselves into the mix of streaming, right? And they want to do it from a blockchain perspective. It is basically the long gist of it, without, you know, reading all of this. I will state right here, for instance, says Theta reports that its platform can be upwards of nearly 60% cheaper per month compared to going with, like, you know, Amazon Web Services, for instance. And then on top of it, right, you know, it goes on to mention that you can actually stake on their platform. So for instance, I did see on the crypto.com app, you can buy T-Fuel, right? And basically, if you stake Theta, you're rewarded with T-Fuel. And if you want to get T-Fuel, I think it's like roughly like 17 cents, but still it's not the, you know, the original thing. But basically, you know, it's like they got the NFTs, they got this thing that's basically like Twitch, but it's their own version of that. And then when looking at it a little bit more further, you can see currently it's trading for $3.20. It's ranked 47th overall. It has a $3.2 billion market cap. On top of that, look at this. Their community, over 250,000 followers. It's huge, right? And then on top of that, sorry to keep saying on top of that, if you took a look at their website, very impressive. And it does really look like something like out Twitch. I mean, you could watch some of these videos yourself. I'm not gonna play them all, but I mean, like, if I was closing my eyes and I saw this, I would be like, oh, that's totally just like Twitch, but from what? A blockchain perspective, right? So, yeah, it's cool seeing that. But at the end of the day, will people jump on this quickly, right? And the answer is, if you're a person that's mainly used to Twitch, probably not. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like this. This is the way I look at it. Let's face it, everybody. At one point, we were all involved in what? MySpace. Especially, I mean, if you're part of the older generation and so on. If you're, you know, I'm not calling you super young guys, but I mean, let's face it, in the mid-2000s, if you were on social media, it was MySpace. And then a few years after that, what? Facebook, right? So you have to look at this like outside the box, right? That Twitch is not necessarily going to be the end-all be-all forever platform for, you know, streaming for gamers and whatnot. Just for the same reason that Discord is not necessarily the end-all be-all for voice communication and you know, a public forum and so on. Somebody else could come out later on and mix that up, is the point I'm trying to make. So with that said, something like Theta could very well be a good thing to get into. Now, in regards to what I just stated, is it a good investment right now? That's up to you to decide. They do have a lot of stuff going on, but the way I'm personally looking at it when it comes to Theta is long term. I hate to state that, but yeah, long term, because I don't see this being like the game changer for, you know, basically like them, you know, saying goodbye to Twitch and everybody out there saying goodbye to Twitch. That's not going to happen. But at the same time, you know, there's lots of upside potential in regards to it. So you could read more about this if you want. Of course, I realize you guys don't have an investor to play subscription, but nonetheless, you can definitely go up to their site, check out some of these videos in regards to it. and so on. Now, wrapping up, it does state that, broadly speaking, Theta has work cut out for it, just like I was mentioning, over the next few years, but we think the project has a track record and talent to do something really special. So this crypto is valued at 3.3 billion and could absolutely soar. It says buy Theta up to $3.50, and when you look at Theta, it's about, at 3.20. Let's check out the all-time highs on it just real quick before we wrap up this video. And yeah, all-time highs were $15.90, and that happened basically April of last year. So that's pretty impressive. It has definitely gone down since then, but so have a lot of things. All right, guys. So with that said, these are the 3 altcoin picks for a potential Bitcoin breakout. So keep that in mind. If Bitcoin's going to keep rising, which I definitely see it happening, it's going to affect probably about 50% of these altcoins, not just these 3 picks. So there we have it. One more time. Near protocol, right? Tezos, which is XTZ, and last but not least, Theta. Thanks for watching today's video, everybody. May you all have a blessed day and a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.